Good morning. I'm Jeff Hammond, Executive Director at International Ground Source Heat Pump Association. Thank you for joining us for the September IGSHPA Dig Deeper webinar. Before we get started, I have just a few updates to bring members up to speed on what's happening at IGSHPA, and then I'll turn it over to our speakers. We have 3 speakers today, so this should be an exciting presentation. So let's go ahead and get started with the latest IGSHPA news. If you would like to speak at these webinars, we do have slots still open. I think maybe one more for 2025, and we'll start accepting 2026 Town Hall and Dig Deeper webinar speakers. This is a great way to get the latest information out to members. And if you have a product that you're selling that's innovative, it's also a good way to get that word out as well. There's always new technology available. We are accepting advertising, and these webinars do get recorded. So if you're advertising on the webinar, that stays around basically forever, or at least as long as the website is live anyway. Make sure you save the date for our 2026 annual conference. It's coming up April 13th through the 15th in the St. Louis area. It's actually St. Charles, Missouri, but it's just about 10 minutes away from the airport, so it's easy to get to. We are accepting abstracts if you'd like to speak at the conference. Also, we have sponsor opportunities, exhibitor space, and you can register now for the conference as well as get your hotel reservations. So that's all online at IGSHPA.org. We certainly could not do the conferences without our sponsors, and as you can see, we already have quite a few sponsors for this conference in 2026. There are quite a few spaces left. If you'd like to get your company's name out there, you'll want to act pretty quickly since they are coming in. Likewise, our exhibit hall still has some space. We already have a 20 by 20 booth, and there's one that's actually in the works. Plus, we have 10 by 10s, tables, 10 by 20s, and so forth. So make sure if you want to show off your product, you get a spot on the exhibit hall. If you're interested in research, IGSHPA is working with IEA in 2026 on the conference in late May in Vienna, Austria. And that's geared more towards research, university type presentation. So it's not really a conference like our exhibit space and so forth. It's dedicated to research. If you haven't learned about our new training and certification programs just yet, you'll want to go to the IGSHPA website. There's a brand new page on training and a lot of connecting pages. And we also have a recording of our July 9th town hall where we go through all of the details in the new training program. It's pretty exciting. By the end of the year, we'll have over 20 new modules, and that's available to IGSHPA members at a pretty good discount. Also, IGSHPA members have discounts on the new binational standard. This is the C448 Design and Installation Standard, CSA, ANSI, and IGSHPA. And it just came out in May. So if you don't have the standard, you're going to want to get a copy of this. It's got a lot of great information. We still need your help on building databases so that we can tell people about all the various applications that are out there. We're always getting questions about schools, churches, hospitals, residential, you name it. And so the more information in those databases, the better it is for growing our industry. If you're not on our email list, make sure you let us know, because this Geo Outlook magazine is published in January and July. In fact, the last one is online, the July edition. There's quite a lot of good information in there. Like the town halls and Dig Deeper webinars, there is opportunity for advertising in these magazines. And we also need exciting articles from members. So let us know if you'd like to write an article for the next magazine in January, or if you'd like to advertise. We do have specials on those advertisers who want both editions, January and July, quite a discount there. If you'd like CEUs for this webinar and for the town hall webinars, just simply put your name and email address in either the chat or the Q&A, and we keep track of those. So when you log into the member portal next time, you'll see those hours. If you're watching this webinar as a recorded session, you still can get credit. You just simply need to include this code right here. This one will make sure that you get credit by watching the recorded version of this webinar. excuse me, submit your information to info@igshpa.org and include the code, and you'll make sure and get credit for it. Just some housekeeping. Shortly, I'll turn this over to our speakers, and they'll go through their presentation. As you hear the presentation, you'll probably have questions, so just put those in chat or Q&A, and then at the end of the presentation, I'll read those questions. If we don't get to all of them, we'll get back to you as soon as possible. As I mentioned, this is recorded, so you can review this later on. Just a little bit more housekeeping. Because of security settings and so forth, sometimes people have a difficult time using the chat. You might get a message that looks like the one over here on the right, asking if you can be added to as an external member of the chat. If you click OK, that should allow you to use chat, but sometimes that doesn't work either. So we've added Q&A as a second option, and hopefully you'll be able to use Q&A. If neither one of those work, raise your hand and I'll unmute your microphone. But so far, everybody has been able to use either chat or Q&A, so hopefully that continues to work like it should. Just a quick disclaimer, and then we'll get ready for our presentation. The upcoming presentation represents the opinion of the presenter and does not represent any official position, opinion, or endorsement of any products or services by IGSHPA or its members. IGSHPA Town Halls and Dig Deeper webinars are for member updates and education on the latest information in the geothermal heat pump industry and are not meant to endorse one technology or brand over another. It is the presenter's responsibility to disclose any conflict of interest or position that may arise in the content of the webinar. So with that, I'm thrilled to turn this over to our presenters from CORECHEM. Chloe, whenever you want to share your screen, go right ahead.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
All right, Jeff, can you see my screen?
I can, thank you.
Okay, good deal. Well, thank you, Jeff. It is so great to hear about all of the great things that are coming up for IGSHPA. We've been members for a while, and we just so value this partnership. So today we are going to be talking about the benefits of low viscosity fluids, and I'm really excited because for those of you who were at the IGSHPA conference, CORECHEM just launched our first ever low viscosity fluid. So we'll be talking about general benefits, and then we will also be talking about this new fluid. And when I say new, one of the reasons I'm very excited to have Jonathan with Kilfrost on the call today is because though it is a new fluid to us, it is not a new fluid to the market. It is actually has a lot of global recognition, and Jonathan will be sharing some case studies, some ways that you can just feel confident in this particular fluid. But we're also really excited to just talk about why low viscosity fluids are so important. So before we get to that, I will do a little bit of an introduction of CORECHEM. CORECHEM has been around for 40 years. We started as a chemical distributor, and there was just kind of a natural way that we progressed into heat transfer fluids. We already worked with glycols, ethanol, methanol, just all those different fluids that once formulated, just it made sense to get into this particular industry. And we had no idea how incredible it would be to be part of organizations like IGSHPA. So it's been a real joy. Today you're going to be hearing from Wesley Sherrod, who is CORECHEM's CEO. You will also hear from Jonathan Smith. And then my name is Chloe. I am going to be the moderator for today. A little bit about Wes. He recently took on the role of CEO, and it's been really awesome to see him do that because Wes has been with CORECHEM for 25 years. When I say he has worn every hat in this company, maybe not officially, but I think it's fair, Wes, to say that you've worn just about every hat. So that just means that he has a real vantage point of some of the struggles, some of the benefits of just everything that we're doing in this industry. So I'm really looking forward to you all hearing from him. Jonathan Smith is the head of sales and marketing with Kilfrost. If you don't know about Kilfrost, they have a line of low viscosity fluids. Years back, we decided to start a relationship with Kilfrost just to get to know more about those fluids. And then we eventually ended up marketing their fluid as our brand into the US market. So Wesley and Jonathan will share more about that collaboration a little bit later. Then my name, like I said, is Chloe. I am the marketing manager at CORECHEM. I'll be our host today. I started with CORECHEM years ago. I ended up taking on a communications role with one of our clients because there wasn't a marketing role at CORECHEM at the time. And then one opened up and I said, I would absolutely love to come back. Which, just as a side note, whenever you want to come back to a company, you know they're doing something right. So we are going to do an activity. And anytime that I host live, I see people's eyes get really wide, like, oh no, what are they about to ask us to do? And I just want to assure you, this one is a crowd pleaser. We have yet to get a complaint. And most of the time I get emails later with people saying, where did you get that activity? How do I do it with my clients? So I will tell you how you are going to participate in this. And just so you know, you do not have to download an app or anything in particular. You will go to the link kahoot.it, either on your phone, tablet, or computer. If you look at the screen, you'll see that link again. It's kahoot.it, kahoot.it. And while you are doing that, I'm going to stop sharing for a moment because I'm going to pull up the activity itself so that you can understand what I'm talking about. Okay, here you'll see a game pin. If you can't see it, it's 964-1518. That's how you're going to get into our specific activity. The only people who will be on this are Dig Deeper participants. And let me just, oh wow, somebody, hey, Hannah Beach, good to see you. Okay, it looks like everybody is getting on. This is so exciting. I'm going to give you time to do that. Just a fun story while everybody's getting on. One time I was hosting this live and Wes played the game as me. Like he put Chloe Poole. And the whole time I knew I was not playing. So he got me pretty good. I will also say I've seen some of the most quiet, introverted people become cutthroat competitors playing a Kahoot. So I am looking forward to seeing who wins. I'm really surprised there aren't more nicknames popping on. I've had Donald Duck get on this game before, all sorts of, I've had people just call themselves Winner, which maybe they're manifesting that. All right, let's see. I'm going to give it maybe 10 more seconds. And here's what I'll say. This one right now is a practice. So if you're struggling to get on, this is just a practice. But here's what I'll say as well. Later, there's going to be a door prize on the line. So this is a practice. Later, it's going to be the real thing. If you're struggling to get on now, like let's say your Wi-Fi is getting a little bit glitchy, later you'll get another shot at it. So, all right. I am going to get this started in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Most of these practice questions are polls, so you can get to know one another, know kind of who's in the room. Later, it'll be multiple choice because we're going over Wesley's content. So pay attention to that content. Okay, so here's a poll. Of the following segments of hydronics, which best describes your individual focus? And hey, maybe hydronics isn't totally your focus. That's okay. Just whatever role you have, just answer as close as possible. All right. Everybody's chiming in. Let's see what we've got. 5 more people. Here we go. All right, mostly geothermal. That is not surprising. And then we have some commercial HVAC. And then we have one from district network systems. Awesome. That's really cool to see. Okay, here comes another poll. Which heat transfer fluid do you have the most experience with? We've got propylene glycol, ethylene glycol, ethanol, methanol, water. Some of you might not even utilize fluids in your role. So we wanted you to feel very seen. All right, everybody's chiming in. Looks like we've got about half the group. Propylene glycol, ethylene glycol, ethanol, methanol, or water are your options, or you don't use a fluid. All right, wow, a lot of propylene glycol and 2 water. We've got 1 who uses methanol, and then a little bit of ethylene glycol. Okay, good deal. All right, next question. How long have you been in the HVACR or geothermal industry? This one's always fun to just see how much experience is in the room. A lot of times I have found it is 10 to 15 years or 20 years. That can be one of the most common answers we get, which is always exciting to see how much people really do want to stay in this industry. There we go. 6 who've been 20 years, 3 who've been here 10 to 15. We've got some 5 to 10 years and 0 to 5. Awesome. I'd love to hear from the 20-year people at some point. That's a lot of experience to bring to the room. Okay, so here's the hard one. Speaking of climate control, how many times a day do you think the average American opens their refrigerator? This is an actual multiple choice question like the ones you'll be getting later. So people are starting to get cutthroat. I can just tell. All right, 19, 33, 28, or 25. What do you think? Average up. Okay, 6 of you got it right. The majority got it. 33. That is definitely not what I would have guessed, but I've done this 1,000 times, so now I know the answer. Okay, awesome. Well, this is the fun part. Because there was one multiple choice question, we're going to get to see who got those right. So Dean came in third. It looks like Rachel came in second. And who came in first? Bob came in first. Awesome. Good job. Well, like I said, the next time that we do this, it will be for an actual door prize. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and then I'm going to go ahead and get back to our PowerPoint. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I did the wrong one. Let me go back in here one more time. So yeah, the next time it will be for the real deal. We'll get your address, we'll get your name, we'll make sure to get you a door prize if you win. So I wish I could say I'm rooting for all of you, but all of you can't win. Okay, so a little bit about where we're going today, and then I'll hand it over to Wes. So we are going to be talking about low viscosity fluids, but specifically CORECHEM's new fluid is called COREFROST ALV. ALV stands for Advanced Low Viscosity. We're going to be talking about the evolution of heat transfer fluids, an introduction to COREFROST, the fluid properties and benefits of COREFROST. Then we're going to do our Kahoot. So that's when you're going to have to know some of the information that Wes shared. And we're not going to tell you what it is. Sometimes he cheats and does that, and it really annoys me. But real world results will be the section that Jonathan talks about, where it's case studies, ways for you to know that you can have confidence in this fluid. So, all right, Wes, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chloe. So, as Chloe mentioned, we're going to be talking about the low viscosity fluids. So if we look at the evolution of heat transfer fluids over the years, there's not a lot has changed from the actual fluid itself, but the chemistry, corrosion inhibitors, things like that have changed, driven by the need for more efficient fluids, safer fluids, more environmentally sustainable, non-viscous products like ethanol and methanol, which are commonly used in the geothermal field. Due to their effective heat transfer, because they are thinner, they more act like water does. But these fluids are gradually falling out of favor because of the risk, mostly the flammability of the alcohols, and some environmental and health effects. So, which most people, when they've moved from an alcohol, turn to propylene glycol because of its non-toxic, environmentally friendly alternative. It's not toxic like EG is, so it was okay to put in the ground and in geothermal systems. But obviously, we know about the glycol penalty, which is due to the reduced heat transfer and higher viscosity of propylene glycol in the system, specifically in systems where the freeze protection was needed at a lower temperature than what a 20 or 25% concentration would provide. So, as CORECHEM was looking at this and always trying to be on the innovative side of products, we identified that gap that existed for a low viscosity fluid that still had the non-toxic and environmentally friendly properties of PG. However, what can we make can we make a product that's got those good attributes and overcome some of the less desirable attributes of propylene glycol, specifically viscosity and thermal conductivity, specific heat? So that's what in our research, we identified the Kilfrost product, which has been in the UK for quite a number of years and in Europe, and identified that product as the best bet for a low viscosity fluid. As Chloe mentioned, reached out to Kilfrost. We had a relationship for a few years, and then last year, we consummated an agreement to be the marketing and manufacturing partner for Kilfrost in the US. So we take Kilfrost's expertise, their knowledge of the heat transfer industry, and their research and development in making this product, and bring the manufacturer and support of CORECHEM into the US market. So that's really what drove that, and as CORECHEM, we're super excited about that, because we get to take a product that's got a proven track record, it's got great chemistry, and has some very good properties, and bring that to the market in the US. So in this presentation, obviously, we're more specific to ground source heat pumps, but the applications for a low viscosity fluid are very broad. These are some visual graphs. It's probably hard to see the numbers there really, but the graph really shows the differentiator between Kilfrost or COREFROST, which is the blue line, and the propylene glycol, which is the orange line. And you can see there, at most, you start really spreading the gap at 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And then the lower you get, the more performance benefits, or the lower viscosity that you get with the COREFROST product. So again, higher concentrations, cooler operating temperatures is where we're going to see the most benefit in this product. But in a geothermal system, we've proven that benefit even at temperatures in which they normally operate. So we'll go over some product properties. Freeze point, start with that. So the COREFROST concentration is similar to propylene glycol, a little more concentrated as you move down to lower freeze points. So that is any help that you need in calculating, hey, what percent do I need to meet a specific freeze point that I'm designing my system to, can reach out to us. We've got literature and data on the website. So that's all available as information you can have. So dynamic viscosity, again, we can see here, it gets better as we go lower in the temperature, operating temperature. But even at 20 to 25 degrees operating temp, we're seeing approximately 50% reduction in the dynamic viscosity. So easier to pump, therefore consuming less power in the pump, and possibly even being able to downsize a pump in horsepower or pump size, and still achieve the same flow rates. Then thermal conductivity. Again, we're seeing about a 17% increase in thermal conductivity. So we're giving up or taking on heat better than propylene glycol. And this is at 35%. And like I said, the number doesn't change that much as we move down the concentration. So if we're looking at comparing this to like a 25% propylene glycol with a freeze point of around 20 degrees, we're still getting significant reduction in significant benefit from the COREFROST product. Specific heat, again, it's right there with, we're seeing improvement in that. It's about 16 to 17%, depending on the temperature in which it's operating. And again, this is all data. These are just the ones we picked. We got it at the percentages across the board. So we can compare that and help use, if you're an engineering firm or engineering position, and you're wanting to try to weigh the benefits of, do I use a lower viscosity fluid, or do I go with a PG? We can help with that. So density is the one where we see a actual increase over PG, because the COREFROST product is a little bit on the heavier side. That has to be taken into consideration when determining and designing a system. However, all of these, we're still outweighing this one detractor, if you want to call it that, with all the other benefits, and we're still achieving significant power reduction, energy savings, and heat and increased heat transfer across the board with the COREFROST product. So we'll talk about some of the benefits. The first one is ALV was originally actually designed for geothermal systems, and so the Kilfrost product was originally designed for geothermal systems. It's again performance and safety, the safety and environmental aspects of PG, but with the performance that even outperforms ethylene glycol in most systems. So you didn't want to put ethylene glycol in the ground, obviously, in a geothermal. So PG was really the only other glycol that we could use there. So this fluid outperforms that. Lower system pressures, reduced pumping energy, overall higher efficiency in a geothermal system. Some of the data points we can see here is up to 35% energy savings compared to PG, and then up to 66% reduced viscosity compared to propylene glycol. So like I said before, as we move down the temperature range, our benefits become greater. But even at the normal operating temperature of a geosystem, we're still seeing some significant improvements in performance and energy savings. It is safe for incidental food contact. So there are some states and environmental regulations that require a food or food grade or a food safe product for use in ground source heat pumps in the loop field. And ALV Plus is NSF rated as an HT1 compound. So that means it's not a food ingredient, but it's safe to use in applications where food contact may be incidental. Another thing of note is that the ingredients in COREFROST are all listed as generally recognized as safe by the FDA. So if you're not in a geothermal application, let's say you're in a food processing application or a refrigeration application where the benefit of of low viscosity fluid is going to be recognized, it's still safe to use in those applications. Environmental impact. So propylene and ethylene glycol they are biodegradable, but they have a pretty rapid biodegradation stage, and that increases your biological and chemical oxygen demand. So in a water system or an aquatic ecosystem, the actual stress on the reduction in oxygen in the water can cause more harm than the actual chemical in the water. So having up to even a third of the biological oxygen demand of ethylene glycol, and it's significantly less than that of propylene glycol. So there's less risk of aquatic ecosystem stress due to that oxygen depletion. Also, because of the lower COD and BOD, brings some other benefits along with it, less bioaccumulation and eutrophication of the water. So can I put this in a system that already has PG? Absolutely can. So any system that's engineered for propylene glycol is just going to see the benefits of the low viscosity fluid come into play. So it can be put in another system. Obviously, flushing that system out and getting rid of all the old fluid is a requirement before putting COREFROST in, or else you're just really you're downgrading the performance that you could get if you don't. It is compatible with copper, brass, steel, aluminum. So corrosion inhibitors have been added to the product to cover all the normal metals in materials of construction and in most systems. And this of note is good for aluminum, which some glycol products are not. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking at system design. So the COREFROST products, they're non-toxic, environmentally friendly, like we said, so they meet any and all current safety and environmental standards. Because of the enhanced performance and the efficiency without significant changes to the system, This allows for an upgrade, so to speak, to your existing geo or HVAC system without spending capital expenditure. It's just by replacing the fluid. So there are some systems that we've had some experience with where the COREFROST product, because of its enhanced performance, has allowed the system to continue operating within the design parameters without being modified, either because of the building use change and the heat loads were different, or the system maybe wasn't designed quite big enough to start with. They can utilize COREFROST as the freeze protection and get that increased efficiency enough to overcome the need of having to replace equipment. So again, we recommend if you are doing that, reach out and talk to us, because there are some specific seal materials that the COREFROST needs to operate with, and we would just like to check the compatibility in a possible system. So I think that's it for me. And Chloe, I guess I'll turn it back to you.
Yeah. All right.
I didn't even
great.
share any hints this time.
I'm so proud of you. Last time I had a Kahoot that only had 3 questions, and Wes ended up sharing the answer to one of them. So I appreciate that, Wes. Okay, here is our second Kahoot. For those of you who weren't or who can't remember the instructions, kahoot.it is the link. You'll see it here. I'm outlining it right now, kahoot.it. The game pin is 5892463. Man, Hannah Beach just gets in first every time. Good job, Hannah. That game pin again is 5892463. For those of you who are competitive people, this is your moment. There is an actual door prize on the line here. We will get your information. We will send that to you. Once again, that game pin 5892463. I am still so surprised that not that many people are using true nicknames. Like, I want someone to be undercover here. Like, we have no idea who you are because you got on as Minnie Mouse. Okay, it looks like we have about 10 people. I'm going to go ahead and give just a little bit more time. And like I said, door prize on the line, that's a big deal. And I personally will be the one to mail that to you. All right, I'm going to give it 10 more seconds. All right, I just saw Gerald and Mark, Mike, Scott. Wow, a lot more people are jumping on here. Hopefully I'm giving everybody enough time to get in. All right, 5 more seconds. 5. Oh, JD. 4, 3, 2, 1. I hope that was enough time. Wow, last minute person joining in. I feel like I've got to give it one more 5 seconds just in case. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are ready to go. All right, my competitors. Hopefully you are ready for this. Hopefully you are listening. Wes will try not to get offended if you don't know the answers to the questions. No, he will not give you a hard time. Okay, here we go. Which of the following best describes the glycol penalty? This is multiple choice. The faster you get it, the more points you'll get. So try to get it right, but also do it as fast as you can. Otherwise, it won't give you quite as many points. The cost of switching from ethanol to glycol, the need for higher concentrations of glycol in the system, the environmental impact of glycol. All right, wow, great job, everybody. 13 people got it right. That's awesome. Okay, and we are gonna now see the scoreboard and leaderboard. Okay, Mike is in the lead. I am so excited to see if you can maintain it, Mike, or let's see what happens. I have confidence in all of you. All right, which certification makes COREFROST ALV Plus suitable for incidental food contact? EPA Green Label, FDA Grass and NSF H21, USDA Organics, ISO 14001. Which certification makes COREFROST suitable for incidental food contact? All right, it looks like almost everybody's in here. Like I said, oh, awesome job. Okay, lots of people are doing a great job. We'll see who's getting these answers fastest, because like I said, that counts too. Hey, Mike has maintained the lead, but Bob is close to gaining that lead. So let's see what happens. Last question. This is it. In terms of environmental impact, COREFROST fluids have up to 1/3 the BOD of ethylene glycol, higher BOD than ethylene glycol, equal COD to methanol, no measurable COD. In terms of environmental impact, COREFROST fluids have what? It is a multiple choice question. All right, here we go. Awesome job, everybody. Okay. Mike was in first. We're about to see if he maintained it. Bob was in close second. Let's see what happens here. Also, for those of you who are just joining, this is an activity. We'll get back to the presentation soon. You're probably wondering what on earth is happening. Okay, Donald came in third. Hannah came in second. Let's see who. Oh, awesome job, Bob. Good deal. Hey, if you will put your full name and your email address in the chat, I'll reach out to you to get your address. Okay, awesome. Like I said, if you're joining and you're seeing this crazy activity, we're just doing a review game. And now we're going to turn it back over to our team. Jonathan is going to share some real world results about COREFROST. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that up now. Let's see. Okay, it's sharing. All right, let's move forward. Okay, real world results. Jonathan, I will turn that over to you.
Thank you, Chloe. Congratulations to Bob, and thanks, Wesley, for the great overview of the fluids benefits. Today, I'm going to walk you through 2 real-world case studies that demonstrate how fluid COREFROST performs in practice. While this marks our formal introduction to the North American market through our collaboration with CORECHEM, the results will hopefully speak for themselves. So let's start with the pioneering project here in the UK of the village of Swaffham Prior in Cambridge. In 2022, the residents of this rural community set out to answer a bold question. How do you transition an entire village from oil-fired boilers to a low-carbon, affordable heating system? Working with local authorities and the contractor, they built a hybrid heating network combining ground source and air source heat pumps, supported by a solar farm. Where COREFROST came in was that traditional fluids pose challenges: toxicity, flammability, and the difficulty reaching the 162-ish degrees Fahrenheit needed to match oil-fired heating performance. COREFROST offered a better solution. It's bio-derived, non-toxic, and non-hazardous, while still delivering excellent thermal efficiency. The fluids was selected by an engineering consultant for its design advantages, and as Wesley outlined earlier, the project used over 35,000 US gallons, diluted to around 25%, given a freeze point of around 14 degrees Fahrenheit. At the time, we also supplied cleaning and sanitizing products to ensure the system was commissioned to the highest standards, and our team supported the on-site filling process, much the same as CORECHEM will do with any geothermal projects over there. The result was that we had a safe, sustainable heating network operating between around 10 degrees Fahrenheit and 167 degrees Fahrenheit, helping the village tackle fuel poverty, reduce carbon emissions, and prove that entire communities can make the switch to renewable energy. The impact of this didn't go unnoticed because the project won the ED Net Zero Award for Renewable Energy Project of the Year in the following year, 2023. So if we move on to the next project across the Atlantic, COREFROST was recently evaluated in an independent study led by NYSERDA. The goal was to compare COREFROST's performance in ground source heat pump systems against the industry standard propylene glycol. The study took place at the Hudson Valley Community College's TechSmart facility, where a full experimental ground source heat pump system was built for side-by-side testing. The results were pretty impressive. Thanks to its lower viscosity, COREFROST required less pumping power, which translated into energy savings of around 11 to 15% at a 21 degree Fahrenheit freeze point, with even greater savings possible, as Wesley mentioned earlier, in colder conditions. The study also found that COREFROST could reduce drilling depth by up to around 27%, cutting upfront installation costs, which is obviously a major win for designers and homeowners alike. It also maintained a wider operating window, supported turbulent flow, and improved heat transfer, all of which enhanced system reliability and reduced the risk for investors and installers alike. So what's the takeaway? COREFROST delivers on sustainability, performance, and cost efficiency, helping make ground source heating more accessible and attractive to communities across the US and beyond. Thank you for your time today, and I'll hand back over to Chloe to close it off and answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Jonathan. If there are any of you who would like to see that full study, I'm going to go ahead and put that QR code up on the screen. Feel free to just snap that. You can check it out later when you've got a little bit more time. And then Jeff, I know, has been keeping track of questions that people have been asking. We're intentionally leaving some time here at the end so that if anyone has questions, we can address those. And if we run out of time, we would love to be able to talk to you about it later. So Jeff, I will hand this to you.
All right. Thank you, Chloe, Wesley, and Jonathan. Great presentation. So our first question comes from Jackie. She would ask that you speak on the general cost of the new antifreeze compared to something like propylene glycol. What would the typical cost be between those two fluids?
It is going to be specific on your concentration and usage, but typically it's 20 to 25% more than propylene glycol based fluids. And again, depending on the application, your return on investment of that additional expense is, we've seen it as short as like 11 months on some projects, up to 24 months based on the energy savings. And that's not really taking into account any design changes that the COREFROST may allow to reduce upfront costs.
Great. Thank you, Wesley. Chloe, could you back up just a slide so that we can see that QR code again? There's a question that came in. I don't think we had enough time for people to scan that. So if anybody wants to look at that case study, they'll be able to scan that QR code and pull that up. Let me take a look here. While we're waiting for some questions, I do have a question. We all talk about the brand names of various heat transfer fluids, but if we had to classify this as, we call propylene glycol, by its chemical names, so to speak, what would we call COREFROST? Is it can we call it a glycerin based, or what's the best way to use the terminology there so that we're able to explain what this new type of heat transfer fluid is?
Jonathan, you want to take that one?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Look, we say it's glycerin based because that's the, one of the main components within the fluid. It's also got all of the standard things that you'd expect from other traditional glycol based fluids in there, in terms of the corrosion add packs and things like that would provide all of that extra safety, and maintenance going forward. So yeah, it's bio-derived, it's glycerin based, and we see that as being a really good way forward.
Okay. Thank you, Jonathan. Gerald has a question. How often does the fluid need to be replaced?
It's same as your regular glycol base, as long as it's maintained properly and tested at least on an annual basis. Jonathan, you've had more experience with this particular one, but basically forever if it did it right.
Yeah, of course. The main factor in that is how well the fluid's looked after. We have to consider this as, if you consider the body as being the geothermal system, then the blood of that is the glycol, is the heat transfer fluid, so it's how well you look after all of it that looks after what the fluid does itself. But yeah, we've had, since its inception, we're talking nearly 15 years in terms of the fluid itself. We've had systems that have been put in 50, since when it was first developed, that are still running today with the fluid. So it can be maintained, when it is maintained properly, it can have that longevity there. So it's a bit of a how long's a piece of string question, but comes down to looking after the system really.
Two quick things I'll say on that. Wesley and I do a presentation. We do a lunch and learn on fluid maintenance, if any of you are interested in that. And then Randy is on this call, but he's out of office, so he couldn't actually be in a presenter mode. And I know he is dying to let you know we have a fluid maintenance program. So if you buy a fluid from us, there's a packet that we send you that helps make sure you know how to maintain that fluid, and there are ways that we will help you to do that, just as an FYI.
Thank you. Yeah, fluid maintenance is definitely important no matter what heat transfer fluid you have. Mark would like to know, what is the difference between COREFROST and exo-indisol?
Yeah, the exo-indisol product is ethanol alcohol based. So ethyl alcohol based. So it's an alcohol gonna have the flammability issues that come with alcohol, especially in the concentrate form. However, it is still used in spec, and if that's what the customer and the engineer designs the system around, that's what we need to provide, then we have that product available.
So it's an alcohol versus a glycerin based.
And the ALB product is one of the goals was to get a product that acted closer from a property standpoint to plain water or an alcohol water, but still had the environmental and safety advantages of propylene glycol.
Okay. Good to know. Next question is from Andy. He wants to know if Kilfrost Geo is the same glycerin-based fluid available in the UK. So is COREFROST and Kilfrost the same thing, I guess, is what he's asking.
Yeah. Look, the fluid itself has been around for a while, and this part, you know, the where we saw synergy with CORECHEM is that we're both family-based companies. We're both owned by families that have run it since the start, since the inception of the companies themselves, and that's why the ability to go ahead and try and bring the fluids over to North America with CORECHEM was seen as such an important aspect of what we're trying to do. It has been around. The fluid has got the history, and you know, as Wesley touched on, in the UK and in Europe, the fluid itself is used in many geothermal systems, air source systems of varying sizes. So I guess if the decision from this, hopefully the decision from this, is that you look towards the fluids going forward for some of your projects, and you have that assurance that the fluid isn't just a new fluid that's being introduced to the market. It's really got some history there and some real world case studies that can show the benefits.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Adam has a question about availability of premixed concentration or as a concentrate 100% antifreeze. What's the availability in COREFROST?
So we have product in stock in Knoxville, Tennessee as a concentrate, and if the need presents itself, like say your available water at the site didn't meet our water quality spec, we could pre-dilute to a specific freeze point that's required.
So if water on site meets the specifications, then you can use the concentrate version. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Randy has a comment. He says COREFROST will soon be available for specification as glycerin based on the SpecLink platform. So that should make it easier for engineers. I also want to make sure everyone realizes we have a glycerin-based heat transfer fluid in the 2025 edition of the C448 standard. So that was added in this edition. Let me see here if we have any other questions. While we're waiting for other questions, I do have another question. We have quite a few Canadian members. What's the availability in Canada of this product?
We don't have any distributors up there right now, but if you need product in Canada, we'll figure out how to get it there.
All right. So it's a good answer. Yeah. Flexibility, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see any other questions at the moment. Any of the three of you have any last minute thoughts or closing remarks that you'd like to give the audience? A great presentation.
I did see one, Jeff, that maybe we didn't answer about the lower risk or quantity of biogrowth than propylene glycol. And
Thank you. I missed that one. Yeah,
We haven't-
Jackie asked that question.
yeah, we haven't done a specific study on that, so to speak, but based on the experience, it is less likely to encourage the growth of biologicals in a system, specifically at lower concentrations compared to PG.
Okay. Excellent. That's good to know, because I think we'll probably have them at a little bit lower concentrations for most ground source applications. While we were answering that question, Mike added another question here. What is the water quality requirement for mixing with concentrate?
Sorry, I don't know that right off the top of my head, but mostly what we're concerned about is hardness, like calcium and manganese and things like that. Iron is a big one that we look at. We actually pretty sure we have that water quality spec on our website, and or if you want to put your email in the chat, we can get it to you. But yeah, the calcium hardness and the iron is what we really focus on.
I think the important part of that as well is it's not a requirement per se, it's a recommendation. I think hard water in any system, any geothermal system, over the lifetime of the system itself is going to be a negative. So we just try and move people towards, soft water, great. But if there is a particular, an area that's an install and it has got particularly hard water, then looking at something like a demineralized, deionized water would always be, the best route forward. So.
Good to know. Is there a minimum concentration to have the proper amount of inhibitors?
Yeah, you're looking around 20%.
20%. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't see any other questions. Again, great presentation. Any closing thoughts? We have about six minutes, so we might as well take this time to wrap up and wish everyone a great weekend. Go ahead.
I was just going to reiterate, when it was so exciting to launch this product specifically at the IGSHPA conference, and people had such great questions, but one of the most frequently asked questions was, how can I trust a new fluid? And so that is what I'm very thankful for Kilfrost, just that when they launched this product years ago, they have a lot of, there's studies, there's so much data that any of you can dig into. Don't hesitate to reach out to us if you would like to see anything specific, just because, fortunately, because of the longevity of the fluid in the market, we have a lot to share with you. So I know this is only an hour and that there's a limit to what we can share. So I just want to encourage you, if there's anything we can do, let us know.
Thank you, Chloe. Wesley or Jonathan, anything else on
the one question for me, obviously being in the UK and understanding the North American market a bit better, would be if we have any installers, designers in the group today. It'd be really good to understand what the software is that people use to design those systems. One of the big parts of what we've done in the UK and Europe is reach out to software companies and make sure that the fluids that we're promoting today are within the systems as well, so it makes it easier for people to select based on them. So having that information would be really useful.
Very good. Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll get some feedback on that, and we can certainly forward it on.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Randy
great,
did
Jonathan.
put the water quality specification in the chat, and that is also our website. So we have a contact us form. Don't hesitate to, if that's the easiest way for you to reach out to us, don't hesitate to.
Okay, great.
Awesome.
All right.
So we'll be we're at most geothermal shows, so if you want to meet up with us somewhere and ask some more questions, we'll be at NYGeo, we'll be at the IGSHPA show next year, Campus Energy, IDEA. We have a booth at AHR as well, so we're out and about. We try to keep that everywhere we're going visible on our LinkedIn and things like that. So we'd love to meet up and have a chat sometime.
Very good. While we were speaking, Andy mentioned that they're using the GLD software, Jonathan, and we do have a page on the IGSHPA website that gives typical software packages out there. So that may be a start, but you'll feel free to give us a call. And now we still have some time here. So there's a comment here from Jeff. with ground source heat pump manufacturers with inverter technology. This will be the next increase in efficiency and reliability. So that's a nice thought, considering that we may be operating at lower flow in the ground heat exchanger and may not quite have the Reynolds number that was designed for maximum flow. So that's a really good point that Jeff makes on making sure that we have the best efficiencies. Great. Well, thank you so much. We will wrap up here. I appreciate everybody joining us for the September Dig Deeper. This will be recorded and online in the next couple of days. If we can be of any help, certainly let us know. And if you have any questions for COREFROST, I think that you have all the information there, also in the chat. And thanks so much for putting this presentation together. Everyone have a great weekend. See ya.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you all.
Thank you.